So what is VApril? Well, VApril is an awareness campaign that's going to be running through the month of April here in the UK. It's been organised by the Vaping Industry Association, that's the UK Vaping Industry Association, link to their website in the comments below. They do a lot of advocacy work here in the UK, they work with all the big retailers, and they also deal with the government for policy changes and so on. They're a really good group to get involved in. They let out a lot of good information, and they do dispel a lot of the bad information as well. So go check them out. It's a great website that they've got there. Loads of information. They do newsletters. I think it's on a monthly basis that let you know what's going on. And this campaign has come about off the back of things like Movember, where men grow mustaches to raise awareness of prostate cancer. And back in October, the NHS ran a campaign called Stoptober, and that was to get people to stop smoking. Now, VApril is kind of the same. It's trying to get people to stop smoking, but it's mainly trying to get people to pick up the vapes, so to give them a try. And that's what they're trying to do. Now, there is a dedicated site for VApril. It's vapril.org. Link will be in the description. And the campaign is being fronted by Dr. Christian Jensen. Now, if you don't know who he is, he's MD, he is a proper doctor, and he's been on the TV for years. He does programs. He does a program on Channel 4 called Embarrassing Bodies, and he does a lot of other stuff. He turns up quite a bit as a medical sort of expert on things. He does know his stuff, and having him at the front of a campaign like this is a really good thing. So if you go onto the vapril.org website, there is a challenge there. Take the VApril challenge, they've called it. And what they're saying is there are masterclasses running throughout the UK. 10 different locations listed there: London, Edinburgh, Glasgow, Belfast, Newcastle, some others as well. Where you can drop into these masterclasses, get a sort of rundown on what vaping is, what the equipment is, and how it can help. It's also giving out free guides on vaping, and it's got their social media links as well. They want your feedback as you're going through it. They want your vaping stories. There's already a section on there for vapers stories. There's also a load of facts on this website as well. There's quite a lot of good information that's here. Obviously, it's coming from the Vaping Industry Association, so they've got a lot of information that's on there. So it's got some interesting statistics here. 95% less harmful than smoking, yeah, we know that. 20,000 successful new smoking quits resulting from vaping, that's per year. 1.5 million vapers in the UK have stopped smoking. Well done, guys, big respect. Apparently there are 7.6 million smokers out there in the UK. So, and 40% of those have never tried vaping, and it's those guys that we're trying to reach with this. So that's a lot of information. They've got a lot of FAQs on here, media, and some contact stuff as well. So there's a lot of information on this site, well worth having a look. So there's loads of good information on both of those websites. The links are in the description. Go check it out. Go have a look. It's really good stuff. The main thing that's trying to be achieved here with VApril is to get people to try vaping, to get smokers to come over to give it a try. Now, the way I'm going to suggest about doing this might be a little bit different than what I'm saying on there, but this is how I would do it with the knowledge that I have if I was transitioning over at this stage. So what I would do is I used to be a 2-pack a day smoker, so easy 2-pack a day. Cigarettes are now in the range of about £10 a packet, so they're not cheap at all. I remember when I started they were only about £2 a packet, but now they're about £10 a packet. So what I would do is I would take the money from 2 days of smoking, so that would be £40, and I would use that to go buy a little starter kit, a decent little starter kit. Now you can get them for about £30. There's loads on Amazon, there's loads on eBay. The little Q box that my friend Lewis has, who's been on the vlog, he's got a little Q box that was £30. The Rolo Badge pod system that I previewed on the channel, that's £25. The Kanga drip box here that I've got that there's a full review on, this is £25. So there's loads of different options out there. and it does absolutely fine. So I would take that £25, that £30 little mod, get some juice, and then fit it into my rotation with my cigarettes. I wouldn't stop smoking. I wouldn't tell anyone just to go cold turkey because that is really hard to do. I've tried it myself. I failed at going cold turkey. I was a 20-year smoker, so I know all the hardships. I've tried everything to get off them, and it just didn't happen. And the only thing that's worked for me has been the vaping. So I'm speaking from experience here. So what I would do is I would have my vape and I would have my cigarettes. And what I would do is instead of going for that cigarette, maybe once, twice a day, I would pick up the vape instead. So not every cigarette. And every cigarette that you're not having and you're vaping instead is a step in the right direction. And you will find over time that you will go for the vape more often. For one thing, you'll start to smell it. You'll start to smell nice smells around, and you'll enjoy the production of the cloud, and it will just be a nice experience. The more you do it, the more you'll get into the habit of it. Now, there's a few things to be aware of when you start vaping, which I'm going to go through next. So the first bit that I've got to get across is unfortunately a bit bad news, if you want to take it that way, and that is that this is only 50% as effective at delivering nicotine as a cigarette. Now, nicotine is the addictive compound that's within a cigarette. It's also within your e-juice if you get a nicotine e-juice, and that's the whole point of moving over, is you're switching away from all the other stuff in the cigarette. And that's the stuff that causes all the trouble. So you got all the tar, the benzene, the ammonia. There's over 400 different ingredients in a cigarette. And that's all to improve the potency of it, to make it more addictive and more get you hooked on it more. And because of that, when you're inhaling vapor, there's no burning going on, so the vapor is not as effective at delivering the nicotine to your system. It's only about 50% as effective. That does vary person to person, but 50% is a rough average. Now, what to keep in mind when you're doing a transition over from cigarettes to vaping is that you're going to need to vape more than you would smoke in order to get that effective. A lot of people say to up the nicotine content within the e-juice, which kind of works, but you're still delivering that high concentration of nicotine at a 50% effective rate. So better than upping your nicotine content, which does have an effect on the flavors, is if you take longer vapes. So say it takes you 3 minutes to smoke a cigarette. It takes 6 minutes of vaping. Simple as that. The more time that you spend vaping instead of smoking, the better. So every cigarette, say 3 minutes, vape for 6. And that's easy done. So just like that. The other side, good side with that, is that when you light a cigarette, you end up smoking the whole thing. And when you vape, you can do just one draw. So another thing to be aware of when you start vaping is the two different types of inhale that you can do. Now, the first one is mouth to lung. This is for the sort of lower wattage devices, for the pod systems, and it's very similar to the way that I used to smoke as well. So essentially what you're doing is you're taking an inhale from the vape into your mouth, holding it there and taking a little inhale after that, just of air to bring it down into your lungs, then bringing it back up. It looks a bit like this. So that's a mouth to lung hit. The other type of lung hit that you'll hear is a direct lung. And direct lung is essentially what it sounds like. It's where you're taking the inhale straight down into your lungs and then back up. That one looks a bit like this. And you see with that one, you produce a lot more clouds. Now, if you can't do that straight off the bat, don't panic about it. It does take a bit of time to master that inhale version, and it does depend on the device that you're using. It's a lot easier to do with the higher wattage devices. With the big sub-ohm tanks, it's a lot easier to do that. And when I started vaping properly, I moved over to it and I started to do that. It did take me nearly a month to master how to do a direct lung hit. And once I did, I was able to enjoy the flavors a lot better. I was able to produce the bigger clouds. But it is something that you do need to master. It's It's not the same as smoking. It does take a little time to get the hang of it. And once you do, it's well worth it. So I do recommend giving it a try, getting the hang of that. So the one last thing I want to cover here is the vapers cough. Now, when you start vaping, you will cough. And the reason for this is because of all that smoking. So if, like me, you were a long-term smoker, I was a 20-year smoker, I had a lot of build-up in my lungs of all the gunk that comes from the cigarettes. So cigarettes is not just tobacco, there's lots and lots of other chemicals in there, lots of other ingredients, and it's all designed to make the nicotine more effective, and it just clogs you up. There's all the tar, all the benzene, all the ammonia, all that stuff that's in there, and it just gunks up your lungs and it clings to the hairs in there, and that's why you get out of breath, that's why you lose lung capacity, it's just clogging you up in there. And what you find is when you start vaping, you're coughing a lot, and it's because you're getting used to the new type of inhale, the new vapor that you're taking in, as opposed to the tobacco smoke. And another thing that's to be noted is that one of the main ingredients in e-juice is PG, or propane glycerol, and that does cling to moisture. So what you're actually doing is when you're inhaling, you're actually drawing all that gunk out, and it's cleaning your lungs. So vaping is actually cleaning your lungs out. So, but because it's cleaning, that gunk's got to go somewhere. So you do find that you're coughing and you're bringing up all this mucal gunk. So you will be spitting it out. I would recommend spitting it out. But it's something to be aware of, that it will happen. Some people get put off by this because they don't know it's coming, but it is something that will pass. When I had it the first time around, when I was really vaping properly, I had it for about 2 weeks where I was just bringing this stuff up. But it would clear my lungs out, and I would feel a lot better after it was clear, because your lungs are getting clearer and it's just happening. Now, if I'm, say, on a night out, I have a few drinks and I have a couple of cigarettes, for the next couple of days I'm coughing, bringing up all the gunk that's come from those cigarettes, because it gets back really, really quickly when you smoke again. So it's just something to be aware of. Don't let it put you off. It will pass. It's just something to be aware of, that you're going to be coughing up a bit of this mucal gunk, and it's your body's way of cleaning itself out, getting rid of all this gungy stuff that's built up. So I hope that this hasn't put you off at all. It's just some tips on adjusting over to vaping over smoking, which is what we want to achieve here. So that's pretty much it for the tips today. If you found this video useful, hit that like button. If you've got any questions on vaping, if you're new to vaping, you've got any questions about how to go about it, you want to know about some devices, you want some more information about what I've said here, leave it in the comments below. I'll either respond directly, or I'll do another video with more tips if needed. Feel free to hit me up on the Twitter, that's the @OnePurpleMongoose. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I've got loads of videos on the channel relating to vaping. I do a daily vlog. I also talk about F1 stuff as well. So go subscribe, and as ever, vape on.